Good evening. Thank you for joining us. The political landscape across southwestern Ontario looks very similar tonight to the way it did before the Ontario election was called. Voters kept ridings just the way they were as we head into another PC majority government under Doug Ford. CTV's Colton Wiens is live now to break down the local results for us and the issues as well that the winning candidates tell us were front of mind for voters in their communities. Take it away, Colton.
Yeah, that's right, Tony. The story of this snap election, sticking with the status quo. Across all 12 ridings in CTV Kitchener's coverage area, incumbent parties won each riding. Wellington-Halton Hills is the only riding with a new MPP, with Joseph Rasinski replacing Ted Arnott, who did not return. And one thing all the candidates had issues with was campaigning in the winter. Sticking with the status quo. Ashlyn Clancy, Mike Harris, Jess Dixon, Catherine Fife, Brian Riddell, and Mike Schreiner all gaining votes compared to the previous election.
Just overwhelmed with gratitude. We have so many wonderful candidates who really took on the green cause.
People showed up for me, and it's really humbling. It's very emotional, actually, for me. Yeah.
What it's saying to the Ontario voter is they have the trust in the PC government to do the right thing, to work hard for them.
And I think that shows that we do have a strong mandate that we wanted to put out there to the people. They've accepted it.
And I'm just deeply honored that my neighbors in Guelph would trust me to be their voice at Queen's Park again.
Candidates telling CTV News constituents shared concerns about housing, healthcare, and education, but the threat of tariffs were a major talking point.
One, the homeless, for sure. And then the tariffs is pretty much on my mind, because what's that going to look like for the country in itself?
Ontario's first wintertime general election since March 19, 1981. Before that, the last one was in January 1905. Ontario hadn't held a general election in February since 1883, and candidates agreed campaigning in the winter was a pain.
I feel actually very relieved, I have to tell you. I mean, this was a very painful, almost hellish kind of campaign in winter.
There was days I looked outside and I felt sorry for my door knockers, and I was out there and listening to people at their doors was crucial, but I knew they were freezing opening their doors. And I've heard other candidates have broke their wrists and fallen and hurt themselves and with the icy conditions. So I'll stick with a spring or fall election next time.
I talked to a 91-year-old man today. He was so upset. He was so mad at the Premier because he said, I'm 91 and I've never missed a vote, and I really don't know if I can go out today because of the weather conditions. So, it led to a lot of people not being able to participate in democracy.
According to Elections Ontario, this round cost $189 million, which is 30% more than the 2022 budget. But despite the weather, voter turnout increased from 43.5% in 2022 to 45.4% this time. Wilfrid Laurier University political science professor Simon Kiss says elections are never a waste, but the turnout could be a negative thing for the Progressive Conservatives.
I actually think the next 4 years may be a bit difficult for them. They own all the issues now. They have a clear mandate. They're responsible. And there's tough times ahead with the possibility of a recession, Trump tariffs, and all this is going to land on Ford's desk. It's up to voters to decide whether they are annoyed enough to try to discipline him. And I think the fact that turnout was so high in such a terrible time of the year to have an election actually suggests that there's more frustration than the top line results might indicate.
So a snap election in the snow and cold, reaffirming the status quo in southern Ontario. Tony.
That certainly sums it up. Okay, Colton, thanks for that roundup. CTV's Colton Wiens with our local election recap.